Minasan konnichiwa and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today I like to talk, I guess this is actually related to a question that again Gaijin Goomba asked me when we had a conversation the other day. We actually had about 2 phone calls before in the past just to talk about what we're up to and our future videos and such, but on our second call that we had to discuss about a video together, he asked me a question, Shogo, why do you think that the elderly in Japan are rather kinder than younger people in Japan? Yeah, because when he was in Japan, although, we talk often about that Japanese people are really cold and not open to change, and all that kind of stuff. And we always say that it's because it's the elderly not willing to change or, update what they know about or stuff like that, right? But although when you actually do come to Japan, the people who tend to be kinder, of course there are kind young people too, but there's actually more kinder older people, elderly. Like for example, if you are riding a train or riding a bus and the people who, that's my daughter by the way, sorry, who are, for example, there's the priority seats, right? The people who would lend their seats right away to people in the need would usually be the elderly. And those are the people who need to use those seats, right? So it's really strange how the people who lend their seats to people are actually the older people. And it's not the younger generations who are supposed to not be sitting there, but they just sit there without caring, and it's the elderly who just tends to lend their seats. Or if you're like having a hard time deciding or figuring out how to get somewhere, and you're looking at your map or you're looking at your application, and the people who come to help you tend to be the rather elderly older generations too. And Gaijin Gumo was asking me from his personal experience living in Japan too, that people who came up to suddenly talk with him or suddenly help him out tend to be less of the younger people, but more of the elderly. And he always thought that if Japan's change, speed, really slow speed of change, and being scared of, for example, tourists coming back to Japan, all that kind of stuff, he always thought it was the the older generation's fault, I guess, and that's what I always say too. That's what I always explain as well, because Japan is the most aged society or country, But there's basically a contradiction here. What's going on here? And my summation is, and oh, by the way, I completely forgot to bring out the example I wanted to give you. Harumi was actually taking Nagi and Hinata, my 2 daughters, on her own to a children's playing facility, basically on her own. So she had a stroller and also holding on to Hinata's hand on her own, and she had to ride a bus. She was having a really hard time, obviously, and there was this old man that helped her to carry the stroller onto the bus, and also even if the kids were crying, for example, or shouting in a really loud voice, he kept constantly told Harumi that it's completely fine, don't worry about it. Children are, that's what they're supposed to be doing. Crying is completely fine, and he just constantly told Harumi to just don't worry about it, it's completely okay, I don't mind, that kind of stuff to her, and it really, really helped her. And again, this was the reason why I came to think about this topic, by the way. I forgot about that, but I just wanted to share it because I thought it's a really heartwarming episode. So anyways, the reason why I believe that, although again, I did make a podcast before that when I just moved to this house, there was an old woman that just came into our house, knocking on our door crazily, and she said that, like, where have your manners gone? You should have come and say our greetings to us, that kind of stuff. And we were like, okay. Like, we did go and say our greetings to, basically by general rules, you go to 2 houses next to you, on your left side, on your right side, and across the street. And that's what we did. But I don't know where that old woman lives, but she said to come and greet her, and I was like, where the heck do you live? Like, who the heck are you to suddenly knock on my door and yell at me? But I did go to a few extra houses and I didn't see her, so I don't know which house she was in, but she didn't come back, so I guess that was okay. But anyways, that kind of stuff happens too, because there's a lot of people who are like, basically, caught up in their own values, and they only believe that what they believe growing up is the correct answer, kind of thing, So these kind of troubles happen often as well. But the reason why the elderly in Japan tend to be a little bit kinder than the younger people in Japan are because they are the people, they are the generations who knew how to trust other people or to be kinder to other people. Again, Japan is a very, what should I say, xenophobic, people who tend to keep outsiders out, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to look for the right word, but I completely forgot, so I can't look it up now. So, I think you understand what I mean, right? But that, on the other hand, means that Japanese people in the past were really, they did have a really strong bond with the people, inside the circle, basically, if that makes sense. So, they knew how to be kind to each other if they believed that they were inside the same group together. Of course, because they were basically family. I mean, outside the actual family borderline, if you're in the same community, their bonds are really strong, right? Because they believed that they were, almost one, and not just each individual, but they were one together. Yeah. So of course, like in the past, during the, for example, when my parents were born, like in the Showa era, it was really common to go next door and say that I actually made a little bit too much of soup today. Would you like my soup? And the neighbor would say, oh, that'd be great. You know what? I was actually just making this for dinner. Would you like some pieces of my, I don't know, this I'm making right now? And they would exchange dinners. Or you could go to your neighbor, or you might have a neighbor coming to you and saying, I need to go out for something right after this, but a package is gonna be coming from 10 to 12. Would it be okay if you just, if the delivery man comes, can you receive the package for me instead of me? And I'll take it from you afterwards, that kind of stuff. So that's how much you trusted your neighbors back in the Showa period. But again, So not yet, not but again yet. So basically that's how much they trusted their neighbors, and that's how much they were able to be kind to each other because they knew how to do it. They've experienced that before. But again, today that bond is gone, right? So we don't have that such a strong community anymore. We can go wherever we want to. We can move to any prefecture we want to. We can go to any university. We can choose our jobs. Our families don't live together anymore. Today, we would never ever go up to a neighbor and ask them if they'd like to have part of our dinner. That'd be really weird. And especially due to COVID, the gap between individuals have become so much bigger. So we don't basically trust each other anymore. This is the conclusion of the really big video I want to make in the future. But basically, Japanese people have lost the ability to trust each other and try to be kind to each other. And this is exactly the reason why younger generations in Japan, they of course, if they become familiar with someone, they're much kinder. But when they're not, they are very cold. And the elderly, the older generations, because they've experienced being kind to others as they were growing up, they saw their parents, exchanging dinners or leaving packages to their neighbors. They've seen that growing up. So that's the reason why they know how to be kind to others, the elderly. And that's the reason why they tend to be kinder than younger generations. And this is my explanation. Of course, there might be some other reasons to it, some other factors to it too, but this is how I would explain the reason why. If you ever actually come to Japan, you will notice that a lot of people who would be helping you out tend to be the elderly, but also at the same time, people who are really grumpy and really angry all the time are also the elderly too. Because in Japan, again, the people who are older are always the priority, so they start to basically lose their power to just try to stay humble. And there's a lot of older generations who tend to act like that too. So yeah, there's the pros and cons of the culture, of the remnant of the culture, but this is how I would personally explain it. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know there's a lot of people studying Japanese willing to come to Japan to travel, study or work, or even train in traditional culture and such. However, I am very afraid that Japan will not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future because we're facing a lot of social problems, we are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying because of all the social issues being shoved against them. So I really want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to try to preserve the I always say that incorrectly. Why do I try to preserve the social problems? Preserve and evolve traditional culture, solve the social problems, and also help out the younger generations so they can have a brighter future. There we go. And to do that, the newest goal we have right now is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on our main channel. So all your likes and comments help to boost our videos to new viewers have never seen our channel before, so it'd be great if you can help me out. Now, at this pace currently, it will be really difficult to try to achieve 2 million, but we are not giving up until the very last moment. We are not giving up. So I hope you can continue to help us out, and we are not going to be giving up until the very last moment. So please look forward to what we're going to be doing in the near future. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening today too. Bye-bye.